nobody knows you when you're down and out.
Hey, I'm Christopher John Farley, a senior editor of the Wall Street Journal. I'm here with Leslie Odom Jr., one of the stars of Broadway's Hamilton. Thanks for coming to the Wall Street Journal.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Okay, you know, usually when someone wins a Tony, the feeling is pure, undistilled joy. But I was thinking, in your case, in your category, for winning the Tony for Best Actor for Hamilton, for your part as Aaron Burr, you're up against a guy who actually wrote it, Lin-MANUEL Miranda, who lost to you,
Leslie Odom Jr., Hamilton.
And you took home the prize. So what was that like? Walk me through what was going through your mind.
I was gonna be fine however it went. You know, we don't do this for trophies or prizes and stuff. So,
but you're more fine now, right? Because you won it.
It's better to win. I'll say
Okay.
It's better to win. But yeah, I had really done the work emotionally to make sure that I was gonna be okay no matter what. And I certainly, look, I was rooting for either myself or Lin. I think he's so beautiful, his work is so beautiful in the show, and that's half of my performance is looking into Lin's eyes. So I was fine either way that went.
What did he say to you afterwards? What did you guys have to say to each other about the wins that the show brought in and the win that you particularly had for that category?
Well, you could kind of see in town, Lin was very supportive of me getting recognized in that way. Afterwards, to answer your question, I don't even think I saw him. I saw him maybe 10 seconds. I mean, it's just that night I was telling you earlier, it was a 22-hour day. 22-hour day. So it's just the craziest experience. We were kind of just passing each other all night. We never really had a chance to connect until the theater. And then the wonderful thing about Broadway, is that you win a Tony on Sunday night, and then we have a show Tuesday night. So you go right back to work, and it's business as usual. So I think that's a really great way to keep your feet pinned down to the ground.
Yeah, and you have your record out.
Yes.
And what I find interesting about the history of this record is you actually released it a couple years ago, crowdfunded it, and now that you've got some higher profile on Broadway, you souped up the record, you added to it, and you re-released it. Why was this such a labor of love for you? Why did you stick with it, and why is it so important to you?
I had an experience where it was interesting. Do we have a second to talk about it?
Yeah, of course we do. Okay. That's what we're here for, man.
So I was on this TV show that was about Broadway and about theater and stuff, and I kind of found myself twiddling my thumbs. I kind of found myself sitting at home, literally, when they were shooting this show. There was no room for me on that show, or not in a, I didn't feel used. And we want to feel used. At Hamilton, I feel used up. You want to feel tired at the end of a day, in a good way. And so I came to the conclusion. I met a dear friend of mine, a collaborator. He produced this whole record, Joseph Abate, and he had been saying he wanted to make a record with me. And I realized somewhere along the way that I did not have to wait for anybody to give me permission to sing. That I could go sing anytime I wanted. I didn't have to wait for them to give me a number on that TV show. So that's what we did. We crowdsourced it. We raised, I think, about $42,000, which was astonishing to me. We added money to that even because albums are very expensive, and we made this thing that we're very proud of, and we got it to some people. Fast forward, Hamilton's happening, and it's the kind of opportunity where, knock on everything, people come to you and they say, so what do you want to do next? What do you want to work on? And I said, I love music, and since I've learned that I don't have to wait for somebody to write me something, or I can go do that. So I meet with S-Curve, BMG and S-Curve, that's the label I'm on. And the guy's like, great, so let's make an album. I said, okay, so listen to the album that we did, and that's the kind of music I want to do. He said, wait, you have an album? And so he listened to it in his office, and he's like, this is really good. This is really good. We should make this better. Was there anything that you wish you had more money or more time to do to make this better? I said, of course, but people have heard it. He said, listen, let me tell you something. I know your mom has it and a couple of close friends. He said, in my world, this album never happened, and he was right. I mean, for us to go to #1 on the jazz charts, we got to #7 on all genres. That is something that we really never anticipated with our little crowdsourced album. But if it teaches you anything, it's like we didn't have to get ready. We were ready when the man said, what do you want to do? So it's about not waiting.
It's sort of an irony there, because the theme of your character in Hamilton, wait for it, I mean, that comes up again and again. And in real life, you don't live by that.
No. Well, in real life, right? Shouldn't we, I think there's something that's so sexy about the duality of those two guys, because in real life you also don't want to really be Hamilton either, right? So in real life you want a little bit of both. They were twin souls in that way, and their sort of dogged insistence on their own philosophy is what destroyed them both. And so in real life, you do want to have a little bit of wait for it. You got to have patience, because this moment wasn't available to me 5 years ago. This sitting with you, this wasn't an opportunity that I had. So I had to wait for it, and I had to push forward. I had to have a little bit of Hamilton as well.
The album is self-titled, called Leslie Odom Jr., available now.
That's right.
And there's some songs on there that I find really interesting. There's a song you cover called Nobody Knows You When You're Down and Out. It's a song that Bessie Smith helped make famous in 1929, really helped propel her career. When you hear that song, and when you first heard it, what did it mean to you? I mean, did it connect to any really bad times in your career?
Oh, yeah. How much time you got? No, it's
Like, is there a time in particular that really stands out to you where you really felt like down and out?
Oh yeah, I almost left the business around 30. I was turning 30 and I just couldn't quite figure it out. I was out in LA. I love LA, but it can be the desert. And I really was getting tired of the up and the down. You book a big job, you book a Hamilton, and if you don't do your due diligence, I mean, the phone can stop ringing immediately, you know? So that was the lowest time. I met with some mentors and some friends. I was looking to make a career transition, and he's my now father-in-law. He gave me the best advice I'd ever gotten. Stuart Robinson said to me, "You can quit if you want to quit. That's fine. I'll help you make that transition." He said, "But you know what? I'd love to see you try before you quit." And I said, "What do you mean by that?" I just booked a big pilot, and so he was like, "Well, I think you're sitting and you're waiting. I think you're sitting at home and you're waiting for the phone to ring, but what did you do today? Do people know that you're out of work? Have you reached out to anybody? What did you do? Yes, I think when opportunities come to you, you show up and you do a great job, but you got to get in there and do something," and it changed my life. So, but that was the lowest time.
I'm also interested in how you embrace the style of music you embrace on this album.
The falling leaves drift by my window.
Because I would call it a jazz album. There's some show tunes on there, things that evoke vaudeville and were made famous on vaudeville, but it's essentially, to me, a jazz album, and it was #1 on the iTunes jazz charts. But of course, you're on Broadway in a hip-hop musical. How did you connect to this style of music that was, popular many years before you were born?
Well, I'll say this style is much closer to who I am in my training than Hamilton is.
Really?
I mean, yeah, well, Lin has really created he's a pioneer of a brand new style of theater. They're not really teaching hip hop theater in schools yet, right? They will now.
Give it time, yeah,
right.
Give it time.
They will now, and so that was part of the thing that was so tricky at the start of it. It was like, wait, how do I do this? It was closely linked to my Shakespeare training, from conservatory, so that's what I sort of related it to, and I found a way to piecemeal my my musical theater training in it as well. But yeah, Hamilton is the new stuff. This is what I've been doing since I was a kid. Hamilton was really, as an actor, I had to approach it in a way, how do I make this seem authentic to me in a way? It's much more authentic to David, who's a rap star.
David Diggs, who plays Thomas Jefferson and Lafayette.
Tony Award-winning David Diggs, or Lin. This really comes from their soul. Hamilton, the hip hop bits were new to me, but then the thing that was so attractive to me about the role, the thing that made it like once in a lifetime, is that I have all those moments. And then I have Dear Theodosia. And then I have Wait For It. Now that I understood. Those songs I understood right away. It was just finding the MC inside of me. It was finding that, what my version of that was that I had to work.
So what's next for you beyond Hamilton then? I mean, are you planning to do more TV work? More movie work, tour with your album? Give us a roadmap of where you're going next.
We want to, the wonderful thing is I finally get it. This is what I get. I have no control over, my cell phone's in the other room, when Steven Spielberg is gonna call me and say, I've written a part for you, hey man, come do this thing. I have no control over
I
that.
think he called, but you were busy talking to me. Sorry about that.
I missed him.
Yeah.
But what I do have control over is every day I can pour energy into this music. I can go out and meet people and connect with people, which is what I love to do most. And so that's what I'm gonna do. And I'll let the phone calls come in as they will, God willing. But if nobody's calling, I'm gonna be around the country and around the world with this music and meeting people just like this.
What do you think Hamilton has really changed on Broadway? I mean, obviously seeing it, it changed some of the sound with bringing hip hop to the stage. It was brought a much more diverse group of people to the Tony Award stage. But do you think this is going to have any kind of lasting impact in the end? What will it really change on the Great White Way?
I hope so. I'm certain of it. Listen, Lin-MANUEL saw a show 20 years ago or so called Rent that changed his life. That changed his life. That he said for the first time, he said, oh my God, I can write a show about my life. There's a way that I can have a voice in this thing that had never occurred to him. Some kid's gonna see that. Some kid's gonna see Hamilton and have that same feeling. So I don't know if it's gonna take 20 years, but we're for sure gonna see work that's inspired by this show. How could we not?
Well, great. Well, Leslie Odom Jr., thanks a lot for coming to the Wall Street Journal. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks.